Hey guys, it's your girl Cassandra, and according to your request, I'm tackling Brown today. So what are the supplemental essays for Brown for 2025 to 26 cycle, and how you are going to approach every single one of them? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cassandra. I've gone to all 8 Ivy League universities, including Brown, and I have put together this guide for you that includes other schools as well. So it's a work in progress. You guys can check out the link below, and it's totally free. And leave me a comment for what school you guys want me to do next. All right, for Brown, let's dive into it. Oh, you can also read my Brown essays, the ones that got me in my cycle, on my website, or watch me break it down here. So the first question is about Brown's open curriculum. It allows students to explore broadly while also diving deeply into their academic pursuits. Tell us about any academic interests that excite you and how you might pursue them at Brown. Okay, Brown is so famous for this open curriculum, right? You get to construct your own academic path, your own academic journey, which is so exciting. And so interdisciplinary is super key here, but you can't just tell me that you are an interdisciplinary thinker. You have to show me that you are a fit for this kind of learning. Because let's be honest, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants freedom, right? Some people just like being told what to do. But other students, maybe like yourself, because you're applying to Brown, you really like to challenge yourself or find different topics that somehow fit together. So that's what they're really looking for. Can you take two seemingly different topics and connect them together and help me understand like why you have to study both? Why do these two different topics fit together in your studies or in your mind, or make you a better scholar and thinker, or whatever it is that you want to be when you come out and graduate? So for example, one of my students who got into Brown, he was very into learning different kinds of languages, but he also wanted to go into medicine. So he's planning on double majoring and creating something of his own, a cross between linguistics and medicine. He wrote on this essay that being a linguist would help him become a better doctor because it would give him a better understanding of the medical field, knowing where certain words originated, and then also the history of the field as a whole. He also integrated extremely Brown specific things as part of how he would achieve this ultimate goal of being like a linguist dash doctor. I think for this, like it would be really cool if you can make an argument for the kinds of different things you can see yourself studying at Brown and how that they would fit together in like one cohesive piece, which is you. So this is question number 2. Students entering Brown often find that making their home on College Hill naturally invites reflection on where they came from. Share how an aspect of your growing up has inspired or challenged you and what unique contributions this might allow you to make to the Brown community. 200 to 250 words. This is a catch-all question, meaning that you can talk about almost literally anything and it might fit under this. So I would definitely recommend approaching this question after you answer the other 2 questions to see what on your spider web, and check this video out on what I mean by spider web, that you haven't included yet. So going back to this question, growing up can really mean anything. This can mean a family dynamic that you had, or an important teacher / mentor person in your life, what your parents encouraged you to pursue, what you fell into by accident or intentionally, the kind of school you go to, the kind of community you live in, a specific extracurricular you've been doing for a while, obviously culture and heritage. Inspire and challenge, these are key words of the question. Both of these words, inspire and challenge, they imply change. So I want you to choose an experience where you can say like, yeah, I actually like grew a lot through this. Now I want to hone in on challenge. Challenge does not have to necessarily mean an external struggle. Now, obviously it can be, but I also want to unlock your ideas of an internal struggle, possibly, right? And oftentimes the challenges that we face have both an external and internal component. For example, an external challenge is like working with unruly kids, like crazy, chaotic children, right? The internal struggle is what I'm more interested in, because like everyone has different ways of dealing with crazy kids. What was your way of dealing with it? And what did that require from you? You had to become more mature, right? You had to become a better leader. So how did that challenge you to grow into the bigger person, right? Did it test your patience? Did you have to revise your leadership style? So that is more of the internal struggle. Maybe it's a pride thing, like, oh, I'm too good for this, or like, why aren't they listening to me? I'm the best teacher ever. Maybe you had to overcome that. Or maybe it's that you didn't have a lot of self-belief, that you thought you couldn't do something, right? So internal struggles can really run the gambit, and that is what I want you to think towards when we look at the word challenge. And finally, keywords, unique contributions this might allow you to make to the Brown community. What is the superpower you're going to bring to Brown, right? So what did this experience give you, unlock in you, this superpower that you now have, this super ability that you are going to bring to different areas of the Brown campus. And I'm talking your dorm room, I'm talking the dining halls, I'm talking your classroom, obviously, the research lab, your study abroad opportunities, your extracurriculars. So how are we going to see this superpower in play once you arrive at Brown's campus? Okay, so the third question, and I love this question. Brown students care deeply about their work and the world around them. Students find contentment, satisfaction, and meaning in daily interactions and major discoveries. Whether big or small, mundane or spectacular, tell us about something that brings you joy. Okay, guys, you better have fun writing this essay, because if you don't have fun writing this essay, I don't think the thing you're writing about brings you much joy, and I will hate reading your essay. So please ensure that you choose something that actually brings you joy. Now, here are some ideas for you to write about. You can write about niche hobbies. I've had students write about all sorts of talents that they have, like doing magic tricks, to scuba diving, to self-taught unicycling. And you can also write about niche passions that you've had. I've had students write about BTS. I've had students write about like their favorite era of history. And I've had students write about math concepts. So it can be, academic, it can be sillier, it can be pop culture, whatever it is, you just have to be specific. And if it is something that you think a lot of other people might do, so for example, if letter writing brings you a lot of joy, okay, can you show me that you're actually a fanatic about letter writing? Like maybe you know a lot about the art of letter writing, the history of letter writing. Maybe you're super specific in giving examples of the kinds of letters that you write, the content, and to whom the letter is to. So find ways to distinguish yourself from others by being hyper specific about what brings you joy. I want to hone in on the word mundane. It doesn't have to be a huge thing that you do. Very small things in our life can bring us joy. For example, I had this one student write about literally walking in circles. Like that brought her a lot of joy because that is how she processes her day and thinks about her future. So make sure that you are telling me the why behind what brings you joy, because you and I can like the same thing, but our whys could be really, really different. Okay, let's take BTS or K-pop in general. Like I might like K-pop for the girl group aesthetics. I might like them because I grew up with them, basically. Like I discovered them when I was 16. Some of their members are 16, off the show 16, right? So my origin story of how I fell into that is going to be different than how you fell into K-pop. And then why I like them can also differ too. Maybe I like them for their humor or their silliness. Maybe you like them for their level of excellence and their cool dancing or their choreography or their music style. So the why behind our joys is equally as important as like what the joy actually is. Okay, and then let's talk about our short answers. What 3 words best describe you? Obviously, 3 words. Keep it limited to 3 words. These can be nouns, verbs, adjectives. These can be words from another language. These words can also form a phrase if you put them together. So just trying to break you out of like what these words can be. When you're brainstorming these, definitely start in a place of truth, right? So start with the general qualities that you think are true about yourself, and then see if you can get like adjacent to that. So for example, if I value courage, if I think courage is one of my most important traits and people might call me courageous, I would ask myself, if courage was a color, what might that be? If courage was an animal, what might that be? Is there a famous character maybe that embodies courage? Is there a verb that embodies courage? And honestly, like if you look at the words that I chose for my app, I didn't think very hard about them. I would advise you to think a little bit harder and not be lazy like I did, because I chose really general words that I think a lot of people use, like passionate and optimistic. Not my best moment. I could have done better. Okay, the second short answer question is, if you could teach a class on any one thing, whether academic or otherwise, what would it be? What is your Roman Empire? If I call on you to yap about something for the next 10, 20, 30 minutes, what is that topic that you could just go on and on and on and on about? So that's what colleges are looking for. At my school, especially, I went to Yale. I felt like the thing that everyone had in common was that they could yap. Okay, we could yap into the night, into the late hours of the night and not sleep and talk about whatever. Like we could just go on and on because we were passionate about whatever it is we were talking about. And so think about what that is for you. This can be an academic sort of topic. If you do go the academic route, make sure that you are bringing some sort of twist that hasn't been done before. You think of like classes that are usually offered at school, like what is something unique that you are bringing to that might not have been done before. Like, what is that perspective or something niche that you're focusing in on? It can also be not academic, right? It can be something a little bit sillier. It can be a soft skill that you're teaching. So you have a lot of freedom there. Okay, and then the final short answer is, in one sentence, why Brown? First, this really must be one sentence, and this is 50 words. So I know that's kind of a long sentence, but please make sure it is actually a sentence. You can fit more stuff in via parentheses and em dashes, but please make sure it's not a run-on sentence, okay? And so since you've already talked about Brown's open curriculum in that first question, here's where you can talk about Brown's vibe. You can talk about Brown alumni that have inspired you, Brown traditions that you're really looking forward to, Brown's culture, Brown's social life, the location, the community. So these are all fair game, and you just want to make sure that it's tackling different things than the question about the open curriculum. So those are all of Brown's questions. Leave a comment for whatever school you want me to do next, and I will try my best to get to it. I'm grinding these out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.